Let's talk more now about the coming back on stream of the Harcourt Refinery. Joining us is Chairman Energy Transition Study Group of the Nigerian Gas Association, Olabode Shomi. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 1. Long-awaited news about the Harcourt Refinery roaring back to life. But we're hearing from Petron that the price will be 75 naira per litre higher than that of Dangote Refinery, for instance. Where does that leave us?
Okay, so the decision in terms of the pricing is predicated on a number of parameters. I think it will be important to listen to them and particularly ask them how they came about those figures. But having said that, it's also important to put a human face to this and come up as a Nigerian who is impacted by the figures of this. The first thing is that for some reason, it was expected that additional refining capacity automatically will equate to lower prices. So for some reason, that was being put in the public space, and I don't think that that is necessarily the case. So what that means in essence, I mean, what the sum total of everything means in essence is the pure fact that additional input into liters of refined product or more refineries coming in does not necessarily mean the prices are going to go lower in the immediate. But it is expected that when competition kicks in, when the forces of demand and supply kicks in, when consumers have options to choose from, at some point there is going to be a balancing of the equation.
All right. And with the present situation, do you think there is a way this price can be adjusted, considering that at the moment we still seem to have limited, production capacity, as it were?
I think one key determinant of final price, to be honest, is the exchange rate, which is not an industry issue. There's a lot of input into things, and you will recall that the exchange rate now and the exchange rate 1 year ago is not necessarily the same thing because of the fluctuations. So because crude oil is a commodity, and because of the global nature of the processing of the commodity, the truth be told is that you are going to have the exchange rate to the dollar, of the naira to the dollar, affecting what the final price is. For perspective, in 2005, when we went to Europe, in January 2005, I went to Stockholm, in the Swedish capital. The plane ticket was roughly about $1,200 or $1,300, which came to, I think, less than 200,000 naira back then. But today, that same ticket is roughly around 2 million naira. But guess what? It is still about that same price, around $1,300. That's about the same price. So what has made the difference is the exchange rate to that. But to the consumer, to the Nigerian, it doesn't really understand, but is understanding it in terms of cost. So there are other factorial issues which are not necessarily within the circle of influence of the industry.
All right, Mr. Shomi. Well, you won't blame the average man. What he wants is just to ensure that he can get the best product at about the cheapest rate possible. This next question is 21. You've spoken about the fact that competition has a likelihood of bringing down prices. How do we reactivate, the other refineries like the president is advocating, and get the private sector to also be more involved? That's one. And two, at the time the federal government is making a case for clean energy, what should be our approach? Okay,
so I guess the refineries were going to be activated the very same way the refinery in Port Harcourt was reactivated. I mean, it's engineering, so it's not an art, it's a science, which means it's predictable. So they're going to go through the process, they're going to go through the engineering works, they're going to do whatever it is they need to do, and then it will come up. So, I mean, that shouldn't be. In terms of green energy. I think coming from COP and all that, we will realize that there is no nation that has gone 100% renewable. So, and we aren't part of the biggest polluters by any stretch of imagination. So I think for us, we need energy security first before we start looking at all the sexy forms of energy. So for now, let's do the key fundamentals that will ensure that people get energy and people can afford the energy. Those will be the fundamentals for now.
All right then. Chairman, Energy Transition Study Group of the Nigerian Gas Association, Olabode Shomi, thank you so much for talking to us on TVC News at 1.
You are most welcome. Thanks.